First up, we'd like to introduce you to Jorge Vayes. He's our Chief Technology and Product Officer here at Userlytics. And Jorge has an international track record of building AI-powered products at scale, bringing both the technical depth and the strategic vision to know where UX research really needs to go next and how to get there. So today you'll hear about how we're innovating straight from the source. Then we'll hand it over to our principal UX researcher, Thiago Moresco, who will introduce a comprehensive approach to test conversational AI before it actually reaches your users. Many of you already know that Thiago has been working for nearly a decade, getting inside the minds of users across industries, cultures, and continents. And he really has this rare ability to take complex research and turn it into something teams can actually act on. And today he's bringing that expertise to how AI chatbots should actually be properly tested. I'm Liliana Camacho. I'm the head of content here at Userlytics, and I'll be your host for about 50 to 60 minutes today. Just note that while this session is being recorded, we have turned off the chat, but you can pop in your questions in the Q&A section, which we'll tackle at the end of the session. And we are going to be running some polls throughout the session. So we do ask you to jump in and share your experience, and it will help us tailor the conversation to the group. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we hand it over to Jorge, we'd like to get a quick pulse on where you are today with your UX research. So take a second to answer honestly. How would you describe your team's current research approach? Are you still following mostly traditional research? Have you started using AI tools but have kept your workflow largely the same? So we've added some AI tools. Okay. We're actively rethinking how research gets done. Okay. Very few of you are actually going AI native. So it's great to know where you're at. Thank you so much for that. Very interesting responses. Perfect. So let's get started. And I'll hand it over to you, Jorge. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Liliana, also for the introduction. So our core philosophy is that we're building Userlytics guided by a simple framework, what we call the intent, then the insight, and then the impact. And these three words capture the entire journey what we want to enable for our customers in our platform, in our research platform. Because too often some teams jump straight into the testing without clear defining what we're trying to learn, what are the goals, and what will be the outcomes that they eventually activate in the product. So we sometimes, as I said, launch a study because someone asked for it, or because we didn't do anything in the last quarter. So we wanted to get some feedback out of our clients or users or our digital assets. But eventually there's a risk that we may end up with a data collection without an alignment and the purpose to learn something or validate an hypothesis that might be of benefit downstream to our product, as I said before. So when you start with a clear intent, a well-defined research goal tied to a business question, everything downstream makes more sense and becomes sharper. Your study is better, the analysis is more focused, and the stakeholders eventually actually care about the results. That's the why the second piece, I think the insights are so critical. We're not just helping you to collect data faster, is that we're helping you to get to the real why. That's probably our motto. Userlytics tells you why, but that makes sense also when it comes to the insight generation behind the user behavior, not surface level observations, but deep understanding of the changes or how you think about your product. And then, of course, the impact. We want to make sure that the understanding you gain reaches the people making decisions in your digital assets, in your landscape, in your companies, and drives outcomes aligned with the business goals. Yeah, and then the product vision is to build what we call the smart workspace. I think this is a small slide, although I think it reflects what we think is the core vision for Userlytics in the forthcoming years. We think of that as an environment where data gets collected, into powerful, actionable insights that it's also aligned with the framework that I explained before. But not only from the analysis standpoint, but also from the full end to end. When it comes to the intent, what you think will be of value, the hypothesis, the validations that you may require to help you build studies in a quickly manner to optimize this time to market, reach out to the testers, to the participants, even if they come from a panel, or if they come from your own databases, and then the analysis, right? So to reach out to the analysis phase, the quicker the better, with a better quality, of course. So to align your teams, and even if you're a solo research team, even if it's not a team, solo researcher, or if it's a team that has to reach out to multiple markets. And this is how we see innovation in our product. Now that with the AI age, we see the information in three layers. One is what we call the primary data, the raw data layer, where the raw metrics, the transcriptions, the videos, and the responses from the participants are stored. Each layer, of course, relies on the subsequent layers down. This is the primary layer. And then we have the synthesis layer, when we have impactful quotes, metrics, the cross-section synthesis, and all that information that is transformed slightly to be analyzed by your teams and the research teams or the product teams. Maybe we have some marketing teams as well, the various roles in the companies. And to minimize that effort, we build the reporting layer where the executive summaries, the AI insight generation will probably be addressed. But the foundation is always what we call the primary data and the source of truth. So whenever we build something that might be meaningful for the reporting of the actionable insights in the layers on top, that connects all the time with the source of truth to make sure that there's no missing parts in the AI or in the cross-section synthesis generation. Interestingly enough, we see two AI work streams in Userlytics. The first one is the guided efficiency. So we want to make sure that we build a flow of research that is pretty consistent with your goals, with a time to market, and alleviates all the effort to create or even the studies or record the sessions or even make the analysis more straightforward. And as well as content suggestion when it comes to the various or smaller pieces of the journey. And then the innovation for new solutions that address or existing problems in a new way or new problems in a way that matches or plays well with the whole ecosystem. At the bottom, I know it's a very crowded slide, but there are the product principles, right? So a few of them that may relate to the pyramid of reporting and primary data on top would be probably open and collaborative. That's one. I think it's synthesized pretty well that all the research consists in multiple activities that might be run by different roles in the teams, as well as flexible yet consistent. We want to build a flow that works well in the research ecosystem, as well as the less effort, more guided principle. I think this is one of the drivers that probably is very well aligned with the new AI capabilities that we can put together in our platforms.
Thank you so much, Jorge. There's so much to take in there, and I love how you framed the intent, insight, and impact. It really does reframe how a research platform can and should be doing. And so before we move into the product demo, we want to check in with the room because what Jorge just covered really is about removing friction from your process. So we'd love to know what takes up most of your team's time during the research process. Is it reviewing and tagging session recordings, writing and presenting reports to stakeholders, recruiting and managing participants, which we know it's a big one for many of you, or synthesizing findings across multiple sections? Okay, interesting results. So looks like many of you are still struggling to synthesize findings across sessions. That takes up a lot of your time. Reviewing and tagging sessions. Interesting. Well, the good thing about all this is that these are not actually research problems, they're workflow challenges. And the good news is that all of these can actually be solved through our current offering, as well as the new features that we're going to be presenting right now. So take it away, Jorge.
So, little bit of a demo. I'm not going to demo the full platform. Probably aligned with the previous poll. I selected a couple of features that we rolled out recently in our platform. One is the session highlight. Whenever we have a moderated or unmoderated study, we end up with a video session depending on the length, with the structure of activities and goals, and that might be a product of, or the extension of the interview, or the in a moderated participant running through your scripts of activities, talking out loud, navigating your digital asset. So we analyzed that behavior, and knowing that some of the sessions might extend up to an hour, we came up with what we call the session highlights. It is an extract from the video. So with AI, we analyze the transcript, the structure of the session, as well as some other aspects of the study, and we came up with a video session highlight that reduces the time that you have to spend to analyze a session specifically. So coming back to the annotations and tagging of a video session, that will probably alleviate a lot of work when it comes to that specific session analysis. So we have all the sessions for all the, this is a demo study, of course, that's not super long, but can illustrate pretty well how a highlight will work. So you have a smaller video with AI generated annotations with tentative tags. These are something, these annotations are something that you can modify in the video analysis capability. So if you go and edit the findings, you'll have the full session, full screen video with all these items. You can add more, and it will be added to the video highlight. These are the combination of all the clips for these annotations, as I said, with a short comment that you can use for your reference, as well as I said, proposed text. These are also named as AI generated. So you have that for your reference. If you create a new one manually, it will be added without the AI generated tag, right? So that's probably something that will, as I said, save you some work for the a session, or maybe a study that have 20 sessions or 10 sessions if it's a moderated study, so you don't have to go for 20 hours or something like that. Of course, that can be shared with your teams, and you can edit, as I said, the findings in a full screen for that. That's one. Additionally, we acknowledge that analyzing individual sessions, it's just one part of the work. I think coming back to the poll that Liliana just run, we had also the cross-session analysis, right? And for that, we have a feature that is still in beta, although we put together some iterations on top of this capability. So we had a very simple chat experience with the study for all the sessions. So all the content that you created, in even if it's AI generated, or the transcriptions or additional annotations that you may have entered manually for the given video sessions, will be taken into consideration for this results. So firstly, you have what we call the first impressions, an executive overview of all the study with the key strengths, critical pain points, as well as some recommendations. And we put together something that maybe might be relevant for the given study, some suggested prompts, as well as align with my previous presentation, the previous slides, the connection to the source of truth, right? So we have the related annotations, and of course the sessions. This is a beta, so it might be a little bit inaccurate, but the sessions that was the source, the primary data of these outputs. So I'm gonna go ahead, maybe I can use a sample prompt like this one. It's funny because I can't remove it now. We will probably iterate that. I put like a delete button, but for now I can delete them. So every time I do it, it will be great that at some point you generate all those things. By the way, if you have teams working on the same study, they will be able to see the outputs of all the prompts that you use here, as well as copy the content. We have a copy button here at the top, so you can copy that for your reference. Maybe you have a report that might be pretty good um, so you don't have to type this anytime. You can edit that in your own words. The other thing that is relevant to is that whenever the output refers to specific sessions in your study, it will give you a timestamp and the participant, like Lucas Monteiro or Mauricio Rodriguez here. So you have a small quote with the reference that relates to the analysis for the specifics, right? Uh, Maybe we have the demo effect today. This is a pre-production environment. I want to make sure that we don't impact anything that is real. So we have that. The most engaging and surprising moments. So I have results on this. So there will be the concept of invisible UX. Maybe this is, as I said, a test study. Um, and a few other things that might be relevant, and that will be like the result of my prompt in that specific this specific study. So this is a feature that we will iterate a little bit more. We understand that this is a small beta, so the results are pretty good. The connection or maybe some of the output might be a little bit misleading, not the content, but the references here. They relate to the full content of the study, but we're still polishing some of the details. When it comes to the output, we think about regenerating clips. So when they say that Liam Paynes is saying that something specific, that quote, we may create a clip for you so you can click and see that is a real output of the primary data, the video session for that specific participant. Okay, so that will be it for today.
Thank you, Jorge. So, what's coming next? What are we currently working on? Which is very exciting.
Okay, so this is the roadmap that we have in Userlytics for Q1. Just a little bit of a reminder, what I just demo is the automated annotations at the top, Q1 at the core platform, and the AI-assisted UX insights and annotations. We also improved the study builder with quotas, the ability to set up multiple audiences for a single study. And what is in progress in Q1, we have quant reporting. We're going to improve that really with more sophisticated outputs. Translations also into transcriptions. We have a lot of feedback, well, a lot of feedback from our client base that have the headquarters in a specific country and they want to land in other countries. So the ability to have subtitles and transcriptions for the video sessions. Although, interestingly, in the AI tools, regardless of the language that you use, at the source of the source of the data, like you have a video session in Italian or in Spanish, you get responses in the language that you type. So if I type a question in Spanish, I will get the response in Spanish. If I type the question in English, I will get the responses in English from the system, even if the sessions are with I don't know, coming from Italian or French participants. It doesn't matter. But maybe the transcriptions for a session can be translated as well. We're building the new reporting capability, what we call the workflow of the study. So whenever you get new video sessions, you will get this video highlights as well as an extract of the session, then the cross-session analysis, and then the advanced reporting. So that workflow will be a good delivery for Q2 in our core platform. As well as BYOU panel management, the ability to manage the panel internally in Userlytics instead of you doing all the effort and the email blasts to all the users that you have in your CRM systems. We're building also the AI moderation capability, Userlytics style. So we align with the UX activities in your study, not just the plain interview that we see out in the market that I think it serves a purpose, but I think it has to be also aligned with the UX too. Then in Q2, we're changing our recorders dramatically, evolving our technology. I think this is pretty consistent. I think we're doing a pretty good job, and we'll make it even more seamless for the tester to make sure that you get good quality results and rock solid. That's the purpose of that work stream, as well as the tester experience. We will trigger a panel quality optimizations activities and various initiatives throughout 2026, starting Q2. What's coming in the second half of the year? We will probably come up with an analysis MCP connecting to various systems, Userlytics style. We will iterate the reporting capabilities. I think this is critical for what we think is our value proposition, align with the workflow to make it seamless for your ways for the research practice, as well as digital twins for low incidence rate. So we would like to scale that low incidence rate of profiles in the panels and out there and maximize the research outcomes, even if they are hard to find. And the companion for the study builder. We acknowledge that building studies sometimes is a little bit challenging, so it requires an effort to draft all the questions, understand the flow, and we would like to alleviate that effort. What we call the companion, right? So an assistant to make that study building activities or align with the goals, as well as the screeners and the activities. All these things had to happen in a timely manner with less effort and, as I said before, more guided. And that will be an overview of the roadmap for 2026. I'm very excited, honestly, the roadmaps from our perspective. We are aligned to deliver frequently to our clients and make sure that you have all the innovations and that make sense and align with our value prop on a monthly basis in the different work streams. And you will see more updates on the product more frequently than ever, probably.
We're all so excited to see these releases come to fruition. And now it's the final poll of the session. And we would love to know, are you currently thinking about launching an AI-powered chatbot or visual assistant? Right now, it looks like many of you are planning to launch one soon, but haven't yet. Yes, but we haven't formally tested it. Interesting. So many of you have your chatbots running, but you haven't really gone through proper UX testing for it. Some of you are in the process of launching one, and small percentage of you say that it's not in your plans. Thanks so much for taking the time to answer that. Perfect. All right. So let's move on with a new frontier. Over to you, Thiago.
Thank you, Liliana. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Right. So yeah, just following up on this conversation on the Pulse content, by the way, about the use of conversational AI across different industries and companies. So it's really I would say that most of us on a daily basis we're interacting with different companies and services through AI-powered experiences or conversational AI, as we name it. So this is inevitable, and we do have that in different sectors and industries of our lives. But I just wanted to start talking about one thing here, which is the speed of all of those conversational AI tools are being deployed across industries, and also the quality of those conversational AI tools when it comes to the variety and the complexity of the interactions with us humans in different situations. So we often see that there's all of this rush and hype about launching AI-powered solutions, which is all great. But often we also see that most of those solutions, they lack some sort of validation or refinement over time, which is all about understanding how people are actually interacting with those AI-powered solutions, and through different conversations. So let's see a little bit more of that, please, Liliana. Cool. So we came up with this idea of testing conversational AI, and then we started to talk a lot about that with the team, and understand how we could combine different methodologies, different UX research methodologies, existing ones, just so we could be able to offer something robust in terms of allowing our clients to test the quality of their conversational AI tools, again, across different industries and sectors. So this is what I wanted to walk you through from now on. Great. So, you may have already experienced some weird interactions with those tools. Again, we're seeing those across different industries. Let's say telco, for example, banking, healthcare, all those industries are generally using a form of conversational AI already. But when those tools are not properly launched before they are deployed, what we often see is like a possibility of break of trust, right? So if we are, let's say, interacting with our bank through conversational AI or through their chatbots, and there's the tool is not able to understand the context, or the tool is not able to understand our intentions, that's usually equals frustration. And like we probably need to we as customers may need to find other channels to communicate with those institutions and try to find a way to get our questions answered or our issues solved. So really what we wanted with this new study, or this new approach that we came up with, was to answer three basic questions. So, like if those conversational AI tools, they are actually helping people achieve their goals, or if they're actually or if on the opposite, if they are actually creating more frustration, how those conversational AI tools compare to our clients' main competitors, or even to previous versions of the same conversational AI tool within the client, for example, and where in the process, if at all, people are losing trust or getting frustrated or looking for escalation to human agents, for example, and why. What are the reasons behind those escalations, for example? So we wanted to understand all of that, and that was the baseline for us to create this new service that we are start talking about now. So we also came up with a few pillars here that we thought that would be important for this new service for this conversational AI testing. So we wanted this to be scenario anchored, so really grounded in real tier one questions. So not like hypothetical scenarios, but questions that people actually are asking through those tools, and getting different answers and having different experiences with. So it's really important that this study is actually grounded in real scenarios. Also, it's also, as I mentioned briefly before, it's really important that we are able to compare the quality of the interactions of one given AI conversational tool with main competitors, or even if with past versions of the company's conversational AI tool. So it's very important to be able to also compare that over time internally, but also compare to main competitors if that's the desire. We also came up with a proprietary score based on our ULX score, which is already a proprietary tool that we use. But this time around, is focused on the quality of the conversation. And in the next slide, I'm going to disclose what we are measuring under that score. So, like for the clients that are actually leveraging that service, we do provide the score for the quality of the conversational AI interactions. And we layered on top of that some moderated depth. So instead of like just observing people interacting with those different chatbots and AI and conversational tools, we also wanted to understand their emotions and be able to deep dive on the dynamics that goes into those type of interactions with chatbots across industries. Good. So yeah, I briefly mentioned about the score that we came up with, and this score is actually helping us measure those 6 different things here that we have in the tiles in this slide. So response clarity, if the AI conversational tool or if the AI chatbot is actually able to provide clear answers to the questions they are asked. If participants in this case of the test are able to achieve their goals. So let's say, hey, I came up here because I came up to this healthcare service because I need an appointment, or because like I need to understand something about billing. Am I able to achieve my goals through conversational AI? Yes or no? Trust and confidence. So really be able to understand if people can trust those tools and can trust the quality of the interactions and the answer that they are given. error recovery, it's really about understanding how those tools, they will make mistakes as we humans also do, but how gracefully those conversational AI tools can recover from their own mistakes and failures. The escalation experience is something super important. So if those conversational AI tools, they are actually or not able to understand when is the exact moment to call for a human agent, for example, or to escalate that, just to recognize its own limits. So really important. And again, also the score covers the overall satisfaction with the conversational AI tools. So really understanding if people would use it again. So in terms of methodology, as I mentioned before, our main goal here was to combine existing methodologies to be able to produce this type of study. So that's why we went for unmoderated sessions. So like in the first place, we want to see how people interact with those AI conversational tools on their own. Of course, everything that I mentioned before about those scenarios being centered around tier one question, real tier one question. So here in terms of methodology for this study, we are talking about 10 participants per variant. We're also looking at their task completion rate and time on task for the different scenarios or the different tier one real scenarios. And also we're looking at the ease of use and also we have questions about and tasks centered around, have probing people to think a lot along the way. And as mentioned before, we laid on top of that a little bit of moderated deep dives, just so we can really understand the why behind those failure points and the frustrations and things that are working well, really, and also be able to capture their emotional reactions and judgments. So that's why under this approach, we combine 8 participants for moderated one-on-one and hour-long moderated sessions. So yeah, this is all about real life scenarios or real life situations that we just so we can properly measure the quality of the interactions with those AI conversational tools. So in this example here, we just have someone, trying to understand a charge in their account and disputing it if necessary. So this is all about, a real life scenario. And in this case, we would like to see, if what are the questions that the AI conversational tool is asking, how it's handling the escalation if needed, and if it's providing the user with the right information in terms if they decide to dispute it. So the idea here is that our clients, they will provide us with tier one questions, 3 to 5 most common one. They can source it through their support tools, Theros and Zendesk, for example. All of that is easily that's very easy to source what those tier one questions are. And then we validate that internally and we design the tasks around those scenarios. So we help our clients find the best phrasing to design those tasks and what type of questions do we want to ask and what is the right way to ask those questions and to prompt those scenarios. And then we also, as mentioned before, we like to repeat the same scenarios across variants, even if those are internal or external, looking at competitors, just so we can compare them not only within one study, but also if the client decides to run that study over time. So we can compare, let's say every quarter, for example, how their AI conversational tool is evolving or not. Here are some of the industries where we see most fit for this type of service. So we have telco, which is an industry with a high chatbot adoption, but also with lots of frustration documented, in their help centers and all of that. So, and also insurance. Again, it's an industry where trust is critical. So there is high stakes for the interactions and for the answers because, wrong responses can really point people to the wrong direction here, and that's not what we want. Banking and fintech, as in my previous example and the previous slide, highly regulated industries, so accuracy matters a lot. And then lastly, SaaS industry and tech support with everything that is around onboarding people into a new software and answering their questions along the way when it comes to support as well, tech support. Yeah, so we divided this service in two different packages here. So we have the Essentials package, which is only about the unmoderated bit. So still, we're going to see people interacting with the different AI conversational tools on their own. We can simulate 3 to 5 scenarios, and we provide a conversational UX score, as I mentioned before, just so we can compare it internally and also over time. And we do have the benchmark tier, which layer on top the 8 moderated sessions, just so we can really deep dive into the scenarios and the frustrations. And in those cases, we can evaluate 1 to 3 chatbot variants, again, either internal or looking at competitors. And we also provide the conversational UX score and recommendations and comparisons. So just before I hand over to Liliana again, I just wanted to say that for the ones that are attending this webinar, we came up with this 50% offer. So if you are interested in running this study for your conversational AI tool, or like looking at how your competitors are handling it, you can leverage this offer. You just have to email us at ux@userlytics.com, and then we'll be happy to help put some shape around the study, understand what your tier 1 questions are, and launch the study. So yeah, that's it for today. Back to you, Liliana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Thiago. We do see that some of you have started to send in your questions. So we'd love to open up the floor to you. We've gone through quite a bit of content. So Jorge is available and Thiago as well. And so let's get started. I see a question here from Jill. Will your AI creation tools be trained on the creation content, tasks, test design, etc., that I enter manually? That's over for you, Jorge.
Yeah, I can take this one. Thank you, Liliana. So I would use the word train. The AI creation tools will be instructed and will use the tasks, the test design, the study, the questions, the structure, and the goals that you put together in that building phase to create the content. The short answer is yes. There's a small thing that I think all of you have to know is that our AI capabilities are not sharing any content throughout studies and through any accounts, clients, or anything. They're isolated in the study context. So it's not a training phase, it's the information that we use to produce the content. It will be the input of the process. So the answer is mostly yes, even if we use a different term.
Perfect. Thank you, Jorge. Someone else wants to know, does AI generate output based on transcripts only? If there are user interactions in the videos that are not talked aloud, will AI be able to capture those? I tried this feature and a little bit, and it didn't seem to capture any interactions that weren't verbalized by the participants.
So the short answer is that no, we only use text input, like the transcripts and the annotations and all as I said, the study structure activities, the goals, and all the content that relates to the study for now. We have what we call the Userlytics labs, and we're testing like video processing and what it's called a multi-model approach for the analysis. So all the video sessions may have that already there in a few months in the reporting work stream that, if you recall, is in the roadmap. So it's more on the sentiment analysis, not based on text, based more on the response types and all this video or reactions of the participant, right? But not for now.
Perfect. How do you expect the AI moderator to run user testing? Does it just guide the user, or does it understand intent of the UX research, read Figma, and run specific questions and tasks?
Theo, you want to take this one? I can take this one too.
No, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, so we see the AI maybe in a few years might be a little bit different, so different approaches to this. However, we see the AI as a companion of the research activities, right? So most of the work that we do can be probably categorized between something that it's very operational and something that requires deep thinking and understanding of the business, the goals, the hypothesis, where the creativity falls, right? The craftsmanship, the art of the work, right? So the work that we do on a daily basis in our different roles. So I see the AI eating half of the pie and pushing the boundaries to what it's more like the deep thinking and the research. As I said, the art of the research practice, more on the human side, and us validating what's running by the AI or by the systems and by the platforms in the forthcoming years, as well as interacting with more tools that relates to our digital assets, like the Figmas of the world. Probably, we see that the output of a research can be recommendations as well as creating a small prototype where we think it's an iteration of the input prototype that you just tested with a number of participants. That will be one of the output, as well as recommendations to change dramatically some parts of the funnels or of the workflows or some specific, like topologies or the organization of the information in your system. So that will probably changes not only with the AI moderation, but with the AI capabilities throughout the research journey.
Thank you, Jorge. One more question for you. Deborah here is asking, since best practices would have more than one researcher tagging transcripts, how does the AI handle that? Is there a confirmation step on AI insights?
So I'm not sure I understand the question right. So it says like there's validation by a peer, the tagging of the sessions, like what we call the annotations in our system when you watch a video session. Is that something that rings a bell? Am I accurate?
Can you have more than one researcher tag transcripts,
So the
essentially?
short answer is yes. We have, we identify who creates the annotations and who tags the video sessions. And there's a collaborative effort. If you recall the AI insights, the chat experience that I just demo, you see the name of the user that created the content. So even from the video session analysis to the inside cross-session analysis, you'll get that information in our system. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Tiago, somebody here is wondering, how long does a typical conversational AI performance testing and engagement take from start to finish?
That's a great question, Liliana. Thank you. Thank you to whoever asked that as well. Yeah, this is set to take 10 business days. So from the kickoff call until the final report, 10 business days. So 2 weeks essentially.
Awesome. Thank you. If AI generates insights, what all context is referred to for generating the insights? If AI generates insights, what all context is referred to for generating the insights?
Yeah, I think, if I understand the question right, Liliana, the context will be what is the information that the system will use to generate an output. And it will be the whole study, everything, right? So we have an amazing context window for those familiar with the AI concepts, that is able to ingest all that information coming from the transcript, regardless of the length of the session, to produce valuable output for you. By the way, this output can be filtered by activity, by specific context or pattern, as well as participants. You can filter in or out a number of participants, even in the prompt. It can be very sophisticated. And of course, not trained, as I mentioned before, but instructed to produce output that is aligned with your study goals.
Thanks, Jorge. Jill again is actually wondering, for the MCP on your roadmap, I'm not an expert in these things, but would that allow Userlytics to connect with something like Claude Code working in your files? What capabilities will that provide?
Well, we're in the discovery phase and scoping that. The MCP, for those not familiar with that, will be like a connector to an AI system from an external source. It's like an API for AI in a nutshell. So we think that we have to leverage those capabilities to connect to various systems that you can leverage right away. I'm thinking about Figmas of the world. That would be one portion of that. It will be some other AI like Cloud Code, maybe another candidate, but we have to explore that to make sure that whatever integrates with our MCP makes sense for the research ecosystem.
Perfect. Someone else is asking, is it possible to have the recording of the session? And yes, we will be sending it through just as soon as it's ready, as well with information about the conversational AI performance testing. So you'll have that in your inbox as soon as possible. So yes, you will. AI capabilities are going to be an add-on or integrated to all the platform and plans.
That's a discussion, Patricia. Thank you for the question. That's a discussion that we're having internally. I think we would like to have a full featured end-to-end experience for all the plans, but this doesn't necessarily mean that you have the same advanced capabilities when it comes to the various tiers that we have in our pricing plans, right? So I cannot say yes. When I'm as a product lead in the organization, I want to make sure that whatever we put together in the various tiers makes sense for everybody and the scope that you may have related to your particular needs when it comes to, as I said, the feature that we enable for your plans.
Thank you. I think the next question is for both of you, but feel free to respond as you wish. But someone here wants to know, does the AI builder also create a study? What factors do you think are essential for building the study? Research goal, problem statement, target audience, etc.
So, Thiago, if you want, I go first, and then you probably refine my answer much better.
Go ahead.
So we don't have AI yet in the builder. We don't have anything yet. So we're testing that in what we call the Userlytics labs. We have various initiatives there. And we're testing that, and this is a goal that we have for 2026 to make sure that we are we rely on our product principles, like less effort, more guided. That will be one, goal oriented, and all those things that I put together in that so crowded slide. So that's one part of the answer. The other one is that we would like to minimize the information that you have to provide when it comes to the scoping of the solutions that we're thinking that might be of value in our value prop. But again, we have to test that and research that internally. We have to, of course, do research from our product and make sure that this is aligned with the final result. But we would like to simplify the experience, making sure that all the methodologies that we build throughout the years are leveraged when they can deliver any value for the given study scope. Thiago?
Yeah, I agree with all of that, but also, when it comes to providing this context to the studies and minimizing the effort for the end user, yes, it's all about, and we are in that phase right now, finding the balance, right? So, of course, we all know that the more context we provide to AI, the better. That's usually the rule of thumb, the general rule of thumb, right? But also there's effort involved in that. So we need to find that balance between, okay, so there's a point where providing more information can actually confuse an LLM model rather than provide more information for the analysis. So we really have to find that balance, and again, understand how that will be translated into the experience for the end user in terms of, hey, what's being asked of what we're going to ask out of the end user in terms of files or context or goals and all of that, just so the analysis can be tailored to their goals and all of that. So it's about finding the balance and some compromise here in terms of the how long do I need to set up study as an end user, and how much do I need to provide, and the type of and the quality of the output that I get.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, thank you both. And thank you everybody that submitted your questions. We did say it would be between 50 to 60 minutes. So we are at the top of the hour, essentially. And we really want to thank you for your time today, for dedicating this space with us. And I hope that you're just as excited for everything that's coming. And as the industry changes, you have our commitment that we are moving towards that. So if you have any questions and want to reach out, please do so. You can do it at ux@userlytics.com. And thank you so much for joining us today.